Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be back with another Young Indian, part of the Voice of the Young series. Right now, we have with us Aayushi Shah. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Aayushi.
Hello, everyone. I thank you, sir. So I'm very thankful for having this platform to voice my thoughts and opinions. I've been following your work on Vidped for over a year now, and I'm really honored to have this platform for myself. Uh, I'll begin my introduction a little later, but first I would like to start with a question for you. And the question is, I know had your studies from DU and MIT, so I want to know how were you confident enough about your choice of degree, and did you have any sort of confusion or dilemma when you pursued those courses?
Okay, so you have two questions. One is, how was I confident and did I have any dilemma? Okay, let's answer those questions. In our times, there was much less competition, and that meant there was much more confidence. Something will happen. What, you could not be sure, but you will get something. Okay. So you are in DU, you will get something. So, and even if you aren't in DU, you will get something. Okay. So there was much more confidence overall, I would say. And today, competition is very much more stiff. And so you are worried about the competition. But for whatever reason, rightly or wrongly, we used to think we are world class, though we had not traveled outside our home city of Jaipur or even smaller towns. We used to think, we are great. Why you are great, no one knows. No one knows why you are great, but we used to think that, that there was a sort of confidence among all my school classmates that, yeah, we're going to do something. Okay. What, we don't know, but yeah, it'll be there. And indeed, it was like that. I mean, I don't see a single person from my high school class falling behind today. So, because there was lack of competition, basically. And if you were educated, the number of the proportion of educated people was lower. Number, of course, was lower, population, but proportion was lower. So you felt like, okay, fine, we'll get it something. Okay, so all right, fine. So that's it. But then, yeah, you have to make a choice. What is it that you want? Okay. And obviously, nobody could be sure of getting what they wanted. So you want to be an engineer, you're going to apply to IIT. I mean, that was not a joke, even back then. Right? Okay, you're not sure that you will get into IIT. But you'll get somewhere. Okay, that's different. But not, you can't say, hey, I'll get into IIT. No, it wasn't like that. So you will get something. So basically, once I decided to go for economics and I got into DU, then it was a straight path. You do your BA and you do your MA. You don't think that much. Okay.
Right.
When you are in your master's, in your end of first year, you begin to think, now what? Okay. And some people decided that they would do UPSC right there because that was already, you just needed a bachelor's degree for most things those days, right? So yeah, okay, fine. You're going to do UPSC, better start studying many subjects in the UPSC subjects. And there wasn't all that much coaching as such as it is now. You could do
Right.
it by yourself. Okay. There was coaching, but you could do it by yourself too. So UPSC was obviously something on people's minds, and banking, and some people from our BA class, econ honors, decided to do CA, chartered accountancy. I mean, nobody did two things at the same time, not like today, because we had no opportunity. So you just did one thing. And so they decided, okay, I'm going to be chartered accountant, my family, this, that. Okay, fine. But then there were people who just trundled into MA because let's just do it, okay? All right. So now it became a question, what are you going to do? So then, yes, you had to choose. Do you want to get into UPSC right now? Try now. Maybe like one of my friends, he decided to go for State Bank of India and he didn't finish his MA. After his first year of MA, he got into State Bank of India. But he became a managing director later on in life. Not number one, but number two in State Bank of India. So people were confident that, okay, I'll get in. I don't need to finish my MA. I just get in and, well, okay, fine. So everybody had to choose. Do you want a PhD after MA? That was not many. So UPSC was one option. And some people went to banks, some people, there were not that many corporate jobs. So that was really not an option. And people managed to get jobs of various types. So for me, if you ask personally, I had really three choices. Okay, one was to be an economist. One was to do UPSC. I mean, the default in St. Stephen's College was UPSC. And you still see today that the senior people, even in the union government, so many of them are from St. Stephen's College.
Right.
They're still running the government. So that was the default. Okay, you don't know what to do UPSC. And my father was an IAS officer, so it was obvious UPSC is an option. And the third, which was very personal to me, was to be a writer, some kind of a writer or a journalist. But that was the most risky. Though my heart was on it, my brain was too, the risk taking was not an option in our times. You just did something safe.
Yeah.
Right? Safe. So there were real two choices, PhD and economist. I didn't want to be an economist without a PhD, that was clear. Why not? Then it matter. And so UPSC, so it came down to this, that if I get into a good university for a PhD, I'll do it. Otherwise, like everybody else, I will sit down and prepare for UPSC. So after the MA, there was 1 year I did want to go back to Jaipur, and I didn't. I turned down my job in Delhi, and I went back home, and I thought I'll get a job in the university there, which I didn't have in hand. But okay, fine. If I don't get a job, I'm at home. What's the deal? This was like different life. You'll be at home. They'll welcome you anyway. So you can do something. So anyway, I did get the job a little later. And then when I applied for admission, I did get it. So that was the end of that dilemma. Wasn't a dilemma as such, but you get into a good university, you take it, and you have a scholarship, and you're done. So I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And in fact, 40 years down the line after your graduation, it's been almost over 40 years.
Yeah.
But still, the Indian system, the Indian parents still have the mindset key, you must choose a safe degree. I myself am very passionate about writing and I want to have a career in writing as well. But the question remains that what is the security and how will you pursue a PhD or writing in that? So I am going to focus my talk on this, the burden of choices for today's generation.
Well,
And
let me just say that I had no parental pressure.
okay.
In my family, there was no such thing as parental pressure.
Oh, yeah.
There was, it was a very different family. It was just like nobody checked report cards and things like that. They just expected you to do well, with the heck with it.
Hmm.
Because all our home was just, my father was not an educationist, but the home was just full of education. Learning was in the air.
Right.
And if you didn't do well, it was okay. My brother, who's just one older than me, he never did well in high school. And I used to come first in my class every year. But my parents never said anything to him. They knew that I learned from him. They
Yeah.
never told him that you better get good marks. What's this? But it's okay. And in fact, one day my father said, "Don't be so foolish. He's better than you." So, and he was. So
There are some qualities that someone has that we might not possess.
no, because he couldn't bother with all the rules and regulations of our time in school,
Yeah.
handwriting must be neat, spellings must be correct and all. His mind was somewhere else, okay? He couldn't be bothered about it. But so
Right.
we didn't have any parental pressure.
That's actually great to hear, sir.
You could do
Because
what you liked, there was no issue that my parents told me to do economics or it's
right,
nothing. Just you are free to do well, but you have to do well. And that was expectation. There's no such thing as what's your report card, what's your marks, what's your subject. Have you done your homework? Forget it. There's nobody interested in it. And, just to tell you that we are 8 siblings, and my youngest, they're my parents' youngest child, my youngest brother. He just cruised through high school because nobody was interested in what he was doing. You have exam, no exam, we don't know. Just don't bother us. You are okay. So then he didn't do very well in high school, but he did get into DU and he topped DU
oh, that's great.
because the learning was in the house.
Right,
And and if you wanted to do well, you could. So he topped DU and he would have, you know, just I said, what the heck? You decided to make up for all the years that you never studied. And he said something like that.
right.
So, he just, so it was in the air.
Hmm.
There was nobody questioning anybody. And anyway, let me hear about you.
Okay, so I'll now start my introduction. I come from Vadodara, which is a very small city in Gujarat, India.
By
My
the
parents,
way, by the way, I have to stop you there. It's not a small city. I know it well. So,
so it is in terms of other cities of
I
Gujarat.
mean, listen, the university there is ancient, where,
MSU is, yeah, years
I,
old.
this is not it is a top ranked university from long, long ago, and
Yeah,
which
that
other
is true.
cities don't have. And though it is outshadowed by Ahmedabad in terms of money and this and that and all, I don't think it's outshadowed by Ahmedabad in terms of education at all.
Not at all. I'm
Not at
talking in
all.
terms of size,
Huh?
the size of the city in terms of size.
Yeah. Yeah, size,
Uh,
yeah, it doesn't have the prominence. But people who know Gujarat or Vadodara, they know that this is the
yeah,
place to go to, right? Okay, so let's
that is true.
continue. Yeah.
Yes, so my parents, they were born and brought, they had their history in Bharuch, and I was born in Bharuch. Bharuch, once upon a time, was a very famous port during the British era. And my mother is an MD radiologist, while my father, with qualifications, is a chartered accountant. But he is in the education sector now, and he is a director of a school here.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that is all about my past. Uh, in my higher secondary school, in my 11th and 12th, that is, I pursued maths. So I was a JEE aspirant. JEE is an entrance examination for engineering, and I was an aspirant for it. 15 lakh students appear for that exam, of which the top 10 percentile qualify for the second level, out of which 10,000 students get a seat in IIT.
Yeah.
So it is a very selective process. And what I fail to understand is uh, what the other students might feel who did not cut that top 10,000 rank, which includes me as well. I was a JEE aspirant. I did not qualify for it. So after even after you get into an IIT, the story does not end. The burden of making a choice, the tag of IIT has become so important in our days right now that even students themselves are willing to go for any kind of subject they want. They're not sure if that is something they want to pursue, but just for the sake of IIT, they're going there. And I don't see how they are coming up to that conclusion, because you're just 18, you don't know what you want to do, what you don't want to do. It's quite difficult to come up with a final decision to your choices. So the pressure never stops. Once I came into college, I'm in my second year right now, pursuing computer science engineering at PDEU Gandhinagar. um, I realized that the pressure never ends. You're supposed to submit essays, you have to have extracurriculars, you need internships, you have to do volunteering hours. The story never ends. So what is a Gen Z person supposed to do when you have 10,000 choices but only 5,000 seats? You don't know where to go. You don't know if your CGPA actually matters or not. During my parents' time, during yours as well, I'm sure, you were, if you take science, you studied PCMB until you were 18, until 12th grade. So my parents got 2 more years than me to make a decision before they split their choice into mathematics or biology. While I had to make that choice right at the age of 10th, I chose mathematics. Maybe if I think upon it down the line, I might have taken biology 4 years after that. So they had the bonus of those 2 years. And amidst all of this, you come to thinking, as you said, that during your time competition was very less. There was surety of you will do something in your life, which is not a prominent case in our time right now. Job scarcity is at its peak. Foreign countries like USA have made it almost impossible for Indians to study in their top universities. And even in the existing universities of India, the competition is cutthroat. It is very crucial for those who did not make it to the top cut to understand what they have to do with their life. Because if you're in an IIT, you're surrounded by achievers. They are success. They are people who strive for success. So it's easy for you to be ambitious. The real challenge kicks in when you're in a third tier college or a second tier college, and you have to be ambitious irrespective of people around you. There might be people around you who they're not ambitious, they just don't want to study, and they're just doing it for the sake of completing a degree. So it is very crucial in this stage that a second or third year university person uh, put a roadmap for their 4 years and not just restrict themselves to one domain. For example, if I am a computer science student, I don't necessarily have to become a software engineer 5 6 years down the line. My interests, as I said, currently lie in editor and creative writing. But if I talk about my 4 semesters, that is my 2 years of college, I flipped my choices 4 times. I started with economics. I then had my interests in corporate finance, from which I jumped into public policy and research. And now I'm back to editorial work. So, my say on this is just try. Try everything, because elimination is a better way than failing. You try, you might fail, but then you'll at least know this is exactly what you don't want to do 5 years after this. I tried economics, I tried corporate finance, and I realized this is not my deal. I can't work in a corporate structure for the rest of my life. So, these 4 years, these 3 years, if you're doing a BBA or something, they are times when you have to try and not run just for the excellence part. It's okay if we fail, but it's not okay if we don't try at all. So that is the introduction to my college. I am also from a third year private university, and I have struggled a lot in these 2 years to make my space in the college campus. To be noticed is itself a struggle. To have your own identity, to form a place, is a very big struggle in these days. The amount of achievements students have, it's unmatchable in our time right now. People are doing so many amazing things, and LinkedIn being one of the most active platforms to visit everything. It has it is very demotivating at times to just see everyone doing good and you are at a halt. So I was through that phase and I came out of it this summer. That was that was a very unexpected thing, because what I started doing was I started painting. I've learned painting and music for 12 years of my life, and I have loved that part of it. So I got to thinking, since I didn't land any big internship this summer, while everyone else is doing a good job at that, I decided to just take a step back and do nothing and just paint. And I realized that the originality in people's thinking is gone after the introduction of AI and chatbots. You know, in college, for making any smallest decision, you've lost the ability to feel confident of thinking it yourself. You'll just feel, no, let's just ask chat gpt and get it over with, because it's going to consume my time and I don't want to do that. I had friends in college who just opened chat gpt to choose any subject and choose the optional subject you were supposed to do in second year and go ahead with it. We're getting dumber day by day as we use more of technology and chat gpt, and it's concerning because it might be restricted to just subjects in college right now, but I'm afraid it's going to go to the career domain as well. You might just leave all the decisions to them and just blindly follow whatever technology is telling you to do. They might know you 10% of what you actually are. What your individuality is depends on your thoughts. And as you said, you started with economics and then you actually had the riskiest choice of becoming a journalist or an editor, right? So even in today's times, though both of them are like on the contraries. Like, as an economist you might be safe, but as an editor or a journalist you have a very risky career or a settled life. So you have to make that choice. But there's this mantra that I've been trying to follow, and I wrote about it in an article recently, that it's fulfillment above fear. It's not all about money. It's not all about 6-digit incomes or picture perfect Instagram lifestyle. Because if you look at it, I have enjoyed painting 6 canvases this summer more than I would have done by 40 hours of internship. Because I just knew that painting is something I am going to enjoy. It's something that brings me fulfillment and satisfaction. And I don't know which career choice will bring me that. So when I tell people I've done 2 internships or I am currently a newsletter editorial head at 2-3 newsletters, they do look up to me, but they don't know the backstory to it of how unsure I am with all these choices that I've done. I've recently become the vice president of a financial club, but I am not sure of how sure I want to be in finance. So I'm just going ahead with trying, and I'm just hoping I figure out what will be my ultimate life decision at the end of these 4 years of my BTech. And uh, as I said, for someone coming from a private university, being consistent is a task. It's actually something you need to work hard for. So you have to wake up every day, think about it, you show up to your lectures and classes, and then you have to work side by side for your extra. Like, I am doing a computer degree, but I want to go in something else, something alongside liberal arts or liberal writing, which does not align at all with computers. So I have to keep time aside for what I actually want to do, and that is a task. So the burden of choices is something that, I took computer science because my parents convinced me that it is a safe zone, it is a safe degree for you to pursue, so that you have at least one good degree. If I look back on time and I had the option of changing all of this and doing an economics or arts degree for my bachelor's itself, I think I would have done a way more fabulous job. But even during my time it was okay, but as we grow further and further, the number of degrees are increasing. I recently talked to an Oxford graduate, and she pursued her masters in gender studies, gender disparity and equality. And I just came to wonder, how do you even figure out that this was the subject you want to pursue a degree in. And Oxford, I mean, you had 100 other options from Oxford you could have done, but you went for this one. It's a very niche topic. So how do you figure this out? And I am still questioning everyone who is older than me about how they make these major crucial life decisions. And does it ever really, uh, when you come to think of it, does it ever make you regret of the choice you made? Maybe you could have done something else and you would have enjoyed it more. Or was there any point of time that you could have changed the degree? But I mean, I don't know. So yeah, that is the burden of choices. uh, I would like to have your opinion on the difference of what your time was 40 years ago. You explained, but what is your say on the current generation's uh, thinking power?
I hear this from young people frequently today. I've done so many Vidpeds. I hear them, and there is an issue. Okay. And each person, let's put it this way. There are many people who switch out of their field after their bachelor's. Many, especially those who are in technical fields, and they don't find them emotionally or personally satisfying. It's a skill, it's a trade, it's a degree, it's safe, but it doesn't do anything for you. And you want it to do something for you. So there are many people who switch out of uh, BTech engineering into something else. What that something else is hard to predict. But I usually talk to people who have switched into social sciences and not into art. I mean, not very few people. I've heard nobody who say, well, I was an engineer and now I'm a painter. I haven't had that. But I do know older people. I mean, there's one of my friend's father. He's now 99 years old. He was a employee of Grindlays Bank in India. It was one of the highest paying jobs. And he quit it to become a painter. That took courage
Yeah.
to quit one of the cushiest jobs in India to earn no money as a painter. But today, I don't hear of such dramatic, this is not common, but I do know so many people who have shifted to social sciences. Okay. Even the IITs now offer economics degrees, and not now, for many years, and people find some option abroad which suits them, like you said, gender studies. That's very narrow, but it is there. And so people sometimes, but even in India now, you can get many degrees that, like TISS, which is in Mumbai and Hyderabad, IGIDR in Mumbai, and so on. So people are shifting to economics or public policy or social stuff like that. It's a small number, but it is there. I would say it's not a
Significant. Yeah.
number that can be ignored. And that's a choice that is not at all shameful or regretful. Okay, because what you learn as a BTech computer person is very useful skill. It's not that you learn computers. I mean, the whole point of college is not to learn any particular thing, but it's to learn how to think for yourself and how to think. That's really the main point of a
Yeah.
college education, so far as I'm concerned. Is learn how to think and hopefully how to write also and how to speak. You got that. You know how to write, you know how to speak. So you got that. And you're learning how to look at problems in a very structured way. That's what engineering is, in a very structured way. Sometimes the structure doesn't represent the reality once you get outside in the real world. That's what I hear from engineers also. That I'm working as an engineer, but it's not enough to know what's in the textbook. because the real world is so random and so full of things happening that but still I think you are the right candidate for thinking about uh, what drives you. Now you may think, okay, I'm a good writer. Well, yes, but that is, as you said, risky, but it's very useful in any field. And communication, that's also very useful in any field. And in places like Mumbai, there are many jobs for such people who are writers and doing something else, but this is also part of their job and so on. So I won't give up. I won't feel lonely or depressed. You aren't lonely and depressed anyway. You say, look, I have to get into the bigger cities where there are options of jobs and connections and so on. And you have LinkedIn, you are good at it to connect to people. I think it's a reasonable scenario at this point for you to find yourself in a career or in a degree. There are many choices, and you can do that. That's I don't feel pessimistic for you. I feel very optimistic that yeah, you will find it. Now, these days I'm also interested in public policy. And there are many degrees, but your heart may not be in public policy. So then you don't want to do that. Your heart may be in economics. There are plenty of places that will admit you with a BTech, and you'll do well. So it's not a problem. So you can learn a master's degree. So think about it. What is it? I mean, you may not go to gender studies or some such niche, but there are things that you can explore right now to figure out for yourself. And of course, it's very good to do internships, but it's also equally good to do your own thing, like painting. It's very good. Nobody who's hiring or looking for somebody will ignore it because you're validating yourself. I mean, internship essentially is a validation that, look, somebody hired you to do the internship. But self-validation is equally important. I was, doing some painting, and it has, provided you can talk about it, which I think you can because you are already talking. Okay, enough from me. Any more points that you have?
So this was basically my notion to put across the table of I want my aged people, the students of this generation, to not restrict themselves to one domain in the first year itself, because since I am from a technical background, what I have seen and what I know from my colleagues is they you just cleared a rat race of JEE examination, and you're again in a race of becoming an amazing software engineer at Google, Microsoft, Apple, and the race for perfect resumes, the ATP scores, it's never ending. I just want to I want them to know that just try other fields. Who knows, maybe you're not a software engineer person, you might turn out to be a social sciences person. It's it's good to have options even after you're in one undergrad degree, because it's keep everything open for yourself, keep the thought process open, and that is how maybe we all might learn, because that is how I learned 4 different things in 4 semesters, and I think I grew more than I could have by just studying coding or some sort of coding language. And it has been a wonderful journey for me up till now, and I'm very optimistic about the coming 2 years as well. So I'm very stubborn about this thought process of mine to try and experiment everything possible in these 4 years. You might have come into some college with the best grades or the best ranks and achievements, but start as a newbie in the first year and you might make wonders. If you join college with the notion of I am a very successful student already, you might not grow as much as you might when you're just starting off. So keeping the mind open to learning more except for your degree, might help a lot more than just sticking to that. So that is my focus.
Okay, yesterday I had a Vidped with a young person. He has bachelor's and master's degree in economics from two of India's top colleges,
Right.
really top. Okay, but I asked him, what are your tips for you? I will post his Vidped up probably today. Aratrik is his name, and he said, well, what you are saying. He said, don't put yourself into one domain at a young age. Don't do it. Explore options. Look around you. Look to see what you can do. I mean, he had no doubt that he would do economics for whatever reason. And he seems a likely candidate for a PhD. I mean, the question to him is not why will you do a PhD? The question is why aren't you doing a PhD? Right? But he said, no, I'm not doing it now, and this, that, and all that. Keep your options open to young people. Think it through, make it happen, try different things, exactly what you're saying. And that's the reality today, that you can do that and you should do it. Now, it's also possible to stick to one line, and nothing wrong with that. That's fine, it works. But it also works that you have ideas and options. And there are channels in India and abroad to explore them. Sometimes you get money and sometimes you don't. Many people get admitted, but there's no money and they can't pay. So, but I did meet a young guy who said, oh, I went abroad, that my parents took a huge loan. He's an engineer, and he says, finally, I said, take me. I mean, he has to work abroad to repay that loan because you can't repay a dollar loan with rupees income.
Right.
So he said, yeah, in 5 years, I'll be able to repay it. So it's up to your choice. And that's really what you're saying. It's your choice. And I think I think you're on the way to make a good choice. Because
And
the
my only reason of emphasizing this so much is the in the coming few years, your USP, your individuality will be questioned by your originality. You know, what do you bring new to the table that is not AI powered? So, pursue that form of expression, that form of study domain that brings out the originality from yourself, that you wish to continue that and bring wonders to the world.
Yeah, I mean, coding is a dead end now. Coding is a dead end because nobody writes code anymore.
Yeah,
AI writes the code. The question is, what do you do then?
yeah,
If you have learned a lot of coding, and now all the kinds of information comes from AI that you might have collected yourself, but increasingly you are forced to think, what is it that's my value added here?
yeah, exactly.
Okay, it's what am I adding to what AI has done? So you have to tame AI to serve you, right? Instead of letting AI make your decisions, you can use AI in making your decisions. You have to tame it. Okay, here AI, behave yourself.
Exactly. It's a slave, not your master.
Right?
I think
It's
a lot of people fail to understand that.
yeah. I mean, look, we are facing the same thing. That's when I'm writing a book, and the question is, what am I saying in the book that AI cannot say? Why am
Yeah,
I writing this book? If I'm writing what AI says, then what's the point of my writing it? Okay, it's available, no use wasting my time. So we do have to think how we are saying something. What is it that we are adding here that is creative? And uh, of course, AI can't write the way a good writer writes, because AI just writes in a very standardized manner. And that's one thing that you have to write, to communicate, okay? Because AI is dull and boring by definition. So you can't write it. Anyway, you are on the right track as far as I can tell. Um, Anything you want to talk about your personal side? I mean, this is your very professional. academic dilemmas that you have been talking about. What about your personal side that you want to share?
Personal side, okay. Although I think I covered some part of it, personal side might be the fact that I was very lucky enough to have parents who put me into performing arts activities in my school days. I mastered three forms. I was an artist, I did dance, and I learned music and the piano. So I also completed my Kathak diploma from MSU, actually. MSU is Performing Arts College.
Yeah.
And uh, since I was brought up with all of this creativity since a very young age, I, I could see myself growing into the creative person that I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
And reason why I might not be the right fit for a technical background is maybe because I was exposed to so much of creative ideas. I i built that skill and I enjoyed it as well, which is exactly what I've been emphasizing on. So my schooling days went great, and while i while I wanted to be a leader in school, those prefects positions that you can apply for, I was somehow underconfident in those times that I'm not the right fit for XYZ reasons. But as I came into college, I built my skills and I felt confident. They validated me and my personality. So I just applied for the presidency in this finance club this year, and it did me wonders. I became the vice president just recently, which I did not expect, and it is my first leadership position. So if there this is uh, I grew into it.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I had the courage to even apply for it back in high school, but I just mustered up that courage and I applied, and I did great in the interview. So again, that was a validation for me. Things just keep happening, and they sort of validate my idea of pursuing them. So. Uh, that's what my personal life looked like. At a younger age, I was not very confident, and I was shy, I was scared. But j- gradually I gradually grew into the person that I am right now, and I'm very happy about it. So I'm actually very thankful to my parents for it, for putting all those all their energy and the time for me to pursue those extra classes. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Anything else you want to add here?
I'll think of it. Just a moment. Anything else that I might think of? Actually, yeah. Before my JEE aspirant phase, I wanted to be an architect.
Okay.
Uh, I was very good at drawing, and I enjoyed watching the interiors of houses, the carpet square size, the building, the how it is made, what are the rooms, what are the everything about a house. So I was very interested in the domain of interior designing and architecture,
Mm.
and I actually studied all about it. I saw that even IIT Roorkee has an architectural program to which I was looking forward to. So it would have, balanced both of my wishes to go into the maths domain and pursue my creative side as well. But somehow things changed when COVID hit all of us, and with the increasing use of computers in the 5 years of COVID, you just realize that the I realized, my parents realized that maybe computer science is the way to go right now, and I dropped off my architectural degree. And if I think of it, I still love noticing buildings, their architectural planning. In fact, MSU's architecture is one of the most beautiful architectures in Gujarat. And if you look at it, the symmetry, the planning is just beautiful. The entire Vadodra's planning is beautiful. So if you think of it, a lot of thought goes into architectural work, and I felt that I am the right fit. I still think I'm the right fit. So I might as well just pursue that after my graduation.
Oh,
So
that will be a big change.
yeah.
That will be a. Do you know? Are you sort of familiar with it, or you think of any Indian architect as somebody you look up to?
I don't know famous ones. I in fact look up to the ones I've closely worked with and I know well
Okay.
from Vadodara itself, because since I like interacting with people on a one-to-one basis, and I
Mhm.
like to know how they think.
Mm,
So to those whom I've met in my years, uh, they've done such a wonderful job on residential houses and plans,
mhm,
and so many thoughts go into it. Like, you have to satisfy the directions. Indians believe in the north and east directions of the house,
mm,
the puja room, the
mm,
uh, I love how Indians have a sort of belonging to their houses. Somehow every room has a thought put to it. Every extra utility you have in the house makes sense.
mm.
And the architects that I have met, he I look up to him because he's he loves Indian classical music, and
Ah,
he uses that as an inspiration to design houses.
wow. Okay. Good.
I have no idea how he thinks about it,
Yeah.
but it is his thinking that he puts both the ragas and the piano keys and everything into designing the houses. He has
Mm.
designed my house currently as well, and I just know how he thinks about it. So I really am inspired by how differently people think. Someone is using classical music as a inspirational model to design a house. Someone might be using painting to write a novel. You might be using your knowledge of economics and public policy to write your novel. So uh,
Mind. Honestly, I cannot write fiction. That's not,
oh,
I cannot write. Imagination is too, let's say that economics dulls your imagination.
it does. Yeah,
It,
I've heard that before.
it dulls your imagination. Anyway, it's great to hear all this. And, architecture, dance, music, painting. You have a full life ahead of you. So, shall we end it here today?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So, I'll
I'm
be
very
back.
thankful for the
Thank you,
platform.
Ayushi, for such an honest and open discussion. And you have validated my reason for launching this channel. Okay, the reason was my feeling that young people in India today are very good, and nobody gives them a chance to speak. So two
Yeah,
things. That's stupid. Why so? Why don't I give them a chance to speak? It's so simple, right?
it
So simple. And then everything else follows from that decision that you give them a chance to speak. And that means you don't put a time limit, you don't tell them what to talk about, you let them talk, you don't come in their way, and everything just follows, and you get something that is different from what has been done in the past. Right? And you empower the young people.
yeah,
That's the aim. If you're going to say the country's future depends on the young people, you better empower them, because otherwise, what will they achieve if they didn't start when they are young? So, and you just validated, such a thoughtful uh, enunciation, discussion from you, and you're just a BA student. And that too, not from some big metro place and fancy college, from Baroda. I still call it Baroda in the wrong way, but from Baroda, and you have depth. You have depth. So this is what you validated, that yes, we need to give young people in India a chance to speak, and for seniors to listen to them. And then when they talk, it maybe even class 11, 12 students will listen to you, at some point and say, oh, it's not easy. It's not easy. So it's not just me who's feeling like that. It's others too. So, okay. So thank you. Let's end it here. Don't go away. I'll talk to you offline. So let's end it here. I'll be back with another young person or an expert soon. Bye till then. Bye.